Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rowling. Do you believe you are capable of choosing your future? Sometimes it takes just one person to believe in you, for you to believe in yourself. If you find yourself continuing to say, someday I will take better care of myself, only to continue living the same day over and over and over again, then you, my friend, are in the right place. I am your biggest cheerleader, inspiring you to become you on purpose and with intention. Are you ready to create a life you love? I'm excited to share with you some big ideas that you can use today to inspire, impact, and influence your life and everyone in it. The Becoming You show starts now. Hello, my friends. How are you? Welcome to a new month. I love a new month, as you know. I geek out on a new month. It's always a new opportunity to, recommit to your goals and to explore and really assess your life. And in all the areas of your life, how are your relationships? How is your health? How aligned are you in your own values? Are you living purposefully? All the areas of life that we break down here on the show. If you're new to me, welcome. I love having you here. If you've been with me for a while, thank you. Thank you for investing in yourself, making self-discovery, self-improvement a way of life. The world is better because of it. And your families are better because of it. And I just honor and I just appreciate each and every one of you. I am going to start this podcast with a warning. Okay. If you are new to me, I want you to consider that I'm not usually this feisty. I'm not usually this blunt, but I think it's necessary. This podcast is not going to be for the faint-hearted. I am, as I was teasing out the outline for it, I'm like, woo, Dad, you're kind of feisty. I'm a little feisty today. Okay. I'm going to bring some tough love to the conversation. I'm going to challenge you to demand more of yourself. And I get it. A lot of us don't like to use that word demand. So if that's you, this podcast might not be the one that you want to listen to. Okay. But if you will allow me to be your guide for the next 30 minutes, 15 if you listen to me on double speed, my hope truly is to inspire a new level of commitment, a new level of wisdom, a new level of maturity for yourself. That is what we're going to talk about today. The mandates of maturity. And I say mandates, friends, because they're not optional. They are not something that we just get to choose from. They are not something that we bring to situations and conversations when we feel like it. Okay? They are required for the most fulfilling life possible. And yet still, I will remind you that our brain, right, that wants to be online, the brain that wants to run the show of our life because it's easier than to choose consciously, is very immature. It does not play by these rules. It plays by the rules of a 2-year-old. The toddler brain wants what it wants right now. It throws temper tantrums when it doesn't get its way, when it feels disrespected, when it feels as if someone or something has wronged them. And if left attended, this brain will ruin our life. It will ruin our relationships. It will ruin any attempt of our happiness and freedom. It will keep us caged, right? Almost as if we're living in a playpen, right? Interestingly enough, you guys, we were put children in these playpens to keep us safe, to keep us out of trouble, to keep us confined, right? We can't have this 2-year-old, wandering around the house unsupervised, right? So we have to know this. We have to know that our brain, unsupervised, is operating by default. And if you are not making the progress that you want in your life, in any and all areas of your life, it is because you have not created rules for yourself, adult rules. It's because you haven't considered what are the non-negotiable mandates for a mature way to live, a mature way to love, a mature way to show up in the world. Okay. So I want to share a story with you about a client of mine to kind of illustrate what I mean by this. And it was this conversation that inspired me to have this very feisty and hard, right, conversation, because it's not easy sometimes to be called out, and myself included, to call myself out on my toddler ways. But it's required. It's necessary. So back to the story with my patient, or my client. He was trying to get one of his patients to be seen by a specialist. His patient was in a ton of pain, and her appointment was weeks away. So he got super angry when this receptionist, was seemingly unwilling to help him with his patient. He shared the situation with me on our call, and we worked through the model. And if you're new to me, the model is just a cognitive framework that I teach. It helps us see what we are creating by way of our own minds, by way of our own thoughts. It helps us see what happens when we don't supervise our brain. And it's super powerful, okay? Because what he realized was that he had an adult tantrum, right? In anger, he showed up super demanding, super frustrated. His words, his tone were not congruent with the best of himself. And he didn't seek really to understand. Communication 101. And because of that, he was angered with himself, not to mention he didn't get the patient scheduled any quicker, and most likely turned off the scheduler, the receptionist at the specialist's office, making it next to impossible for favors in the future. Okay? And I'm not picking on my client. Every single one of us act this way when our toddler brain is the one in charge. And so the work that's required is to practice conscious introspection in every situation where negative emotion is at play. Notice I said practice, friends. It is not a perfect practice. It is a very patient and imperfect practice. I shared with my client a story that literally I had just the day before. Okay. Every 6 months, my boys and I, we go to lunch, and then we go to their dental check. Okay. And the vote for that day was to go to Culver's. So Culver's we went. And a tall, stoic man behind the register seemed less than impressed to take our order, right? His demeanor was not really inviting. His responses were short and seemingly cold. And I noticed, you guys, his name tag, okay? On his name tag, it said hospitality manager. Now, initially, my toddler brain was like, geez, how rude. How do you have that name of hospitality manager? And you're showing up in the way that you're showing up, and you're completely ruining my experience with my boys. And then I'm trying to justify my boys' playful behavior and that we were just having a good time. And, then I went on to think that as a hospitality manager, don't you think that you should probably be more hospitable, right? And then my brain went on and on about how, leadership and management training at Culver's must be flawed. Like, you guys, all of this in about 10 seconds. Okay. And in that moment, I had a choice. I could continue to let my temper tantrum brain run its course. Okay. And what would that have looked like? Okay. Well, it would have looked like me being rude back. Right. And most likely this manager would have been the subject of our conversations when we got our food. And I would have had role modeled for my boys. Hey, if someone is cold and short with you, if someone treats you poorly, it's okay. It's okay to respond poorly. Okay. That's one option that would have happened had I let my toddler brain run the show. The other choice I could choose was to bring my mature brain online and remind myself that I was the one that was angering myself with my thoughts of how he should be different from me. I was the one ruining my experience. And I could continue to do that if I wanted, but I didn't, because one of my mandates, one of my rules for my life is that my A game isn't for people on their A game. My A game is what is required of me when people are not. Right? Specifically, my A game was required in that moment. In that moment, when I felt as if my family was treated badly, I had a responsibility as a part of one of my mature mandates to not respond in kind. Right? Not mirror whatever it was that he was showing up as. So instead, I said to this manager, I said, I love the title of hospitality manager. That was true. I thanked him for taking our order. I said, I appreciate you taking our order today. This was also true. And then the rest was pretty incredible. He got a little teary, tears actually. And he thanked me for appreciating him. He said to me, I needed that today. He also personally delivered our food and said how very much he appreciated our family. One of my mature mandates is to assume that if someone appears to be having a bad day, they probably are. And me treating them badly only piles onto their already bad day, and it puts me in a bad mood. And the ripple effect in just this one interaction is incredible. Instead of being angry at how we felt wronged at Culver's and talking about how rude people can be when we sat at our table, we had conversations about the fall term for my kiddos, friendships, hopes, and dreams. And it is my hope that Eddie was the hospitality manager at Culver's, was able to make the difference that I know he can make. Crazy how simple appreciation can give someone permission to be more hospitable. Why these stories today? Well, both are choices that our brain offers. The first one is without rules, without mandates. The second one is with. Why rules, right? Leah, rules seem the opposite of living a free life, the opposite of living a fulfilling life. I disagree. I think otherwise. Without rules, without deciding ahead of time how you're going to show up, how you're going to communicate, you will be operating from your immature mind, your toddler brain, your default conditioning. These rules are for our most conscious life, your most vibrant, your most dynamic, the highest order self. This is the freedom. With this mind, you are free from the playpen. You're free to make honoring decisions. You're free to be kind. You're free to be thoughtful. You're free to serve. You're free to love. You're free to bring the best of who it is that you are. And by way of doing that, you bring out the best in others. You're free to role model behavior that you want to leave as a lasting part of your legacy. How do you want people to remember how you treated them? How do you want your children to see you interacting with people, right? They're way more prone to mirror what you do than they are to follow what you say. So what are your maturity mandates? Have you thought about them? Right? I love negative emotion for that reason alone, because every negative emotion becomes your advisor, your teacher, offering up wisdom if you allow it. Negative emotion is how I came up with all of my rules, all of my mandates. They give me insights on how I can better love, how I can better serve, how I can better enroll people in their potential. Every single negative emotion that I have invites me back into my life to see where there is an opportunity for me to love and to serve other humans. And trust me, operating from my toddler brain without these rules is never me being my best. So if I can, in the moment, hijack that thought and remember my rules, I can shift. I can be responsible for my thoughts, my feelings, and how I show up in the world. And well, if I can't, I can be assured that the opportunity to practice will undoubtedly be in my future. Right? The universe, God, whatever you believe in, will continue to put people, situations, circumstances in your life, I think, until you learn the lesson that's required. And in that lesson, that is an opportunity for you to invoke, to invite a new life philosophy, new mandates with which you are going to live by and role model for the people in your life. Okay? So I thought with just the remainder of the time that I have, I'll just share with you a few of my mandates. Take them if you love them, disregard them if you don't. I don't care what mandates you have. I care that you have them. I care that you have them, because if you don't have them, you will forever live in a playpen, thinking, feeling, and showing up in a grown body, acting childish, throwing sippy cups around. Okay? So here are a few from my life. First, as an adult, I'm responsible for my thoughts. I'm responsible for how I want to think, how I choose to think. Okay? And I think a lot about my thoughts. And I'm not suggesting that you think happy all the time. There are going to be lots of times in your life where you're not going to want to think happy about something. The work is not to think happy and positive thoughts all the time. The work, the mandate is to think consciously. Conscious thought is a mandate for maturity. It's one of my mandates for maturity. Secondly, as an adult, I am responsible for my emotions. I say this so often on the show, but my emotions are mine to manage, not anyone else. Your emotions should not be anyone's priority. Okay? Heck, most people can't even manage their own, let alone put yours in line for validation and proper consideration. No, responsibility of my emotions are not just for me to own, but for me to feel. Yet too many of us are not feeling our emotions. We're trying to escape them. We're trying to avoid them. We are indulging in them. This is not feeling them at all. My rule here as a mature adult is I get to willingly embrace all emotions. And before I try to eat them away or shop them away or swipe them away or watch them away or drink them away, I just get to be with them. My rule is after I have felt my feelings and processed my feelings, I can eat what I want, drink what I want, shop, swipe, watch what I want. But here's the thing. After I truly allow myself to feel, I no longer need what I thought I needed, because I'm no longer trying to escape anything. I've just allowed myself to have a human experience by way of my own mattering. And because I now matter, I choose my choices differently. I find that I no longer want to go to the pantry because I'm stressed. I no longer want to shop because I'm bored. I no longer want to swipe because I'm frustrated. I no longer want to lose myself in Netflix because, friends, I'm no longer lost. My emotions are the roadmap, I believe, to living a deeper, a more enriched life. giving them over to someone else to solve, someone else to prioritize, someone else to validate? Heck no, that just robs me of my experience. Third, as an adult, it is my responsibility to think for, right? It's not my it's not my responsibility, okay? To think for and or rob other people from feeling their feelings. Now, before my empaths freak out on me, I'm not suggesting that we don't hold strong space and think negative thoughts, right? That then will necessarily make us feel bad when something is awful. But too often I see people trying to concede or make peace so that they don't disrupt other people, right? They don't say what they want to say, do what they truly want to do, because that might be upsetting to someone in their life. We discount our mattering to spare other people of their feelings. And by doing this, we steal from them the opportunity to live a deeper, more full life. I know we don't mean to do this, but we're doing them a huge disservice, right? I want to make sure that you don't hear me say, just go be a brat and let them navigate their own emotions about it, okay? Because being a brat violates 1 and 2, okay? But it is not your responsibility to concede, to shoulder, to take on unnecessarily. It is not your responsibility to keep peace at the expense of your own. Okay? Your feelings are for you to feel, and the same is true for everyone else. Similarly, it's not your job to think for other people. It isn't. I know this is so hard for my fixers to hear. People don't need fixed. They don't. Neither do you. Okay? People want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want someone to volley back and forth discussions around discovery and decision-making. They want to be appreciated. Eddie wanted to be appreciated. Okay? They don't need you to think for them. They don't need you to tell them what to do. Fourth and last, okay? As an adult, it's not my last mandate, but it's the last one that I have time for you today, okay? As an adult, it is my responsibility to be on my A game. I mentioned this earlier, and not just when it's easy. It's really easy when other people are easy to be kind and generous and nice. But how do you show up when they are not? Difficult people are your best curriculum. I've said that before. They are your teachers. And if you are not showing up as your very, very best higher order self around them, there is more for you to learn. I'm not saying to stay around and tolerate abuse. This is not what I am saying. I am saying that there are going to be people that are just hard to be around. Either they are really different than you, or there has been some bad blood exchanged, or maybe they said or did something that is hard for you to forgive and forget. And if that is for you, check out my podcast on forgiving and forgetting, okay? Whatever it is for you, other people become the mirror of your subconscious. If you want to work on self-discovery and introspection, the difficult humans in your life are the way. They're the mirror. I promise you this is true. Every time we get defensive, every time we feel as if we have to justify, every time we offer up in our minds, here we go again. Every time as if we feel as if we're being thrown under the bus, this becomes an opportunity to see what we're creating for ourselves by way of our thoughts and these other people, okay? I know today was a little spicy, okay? But I want you to have the personal freedom that is available to you. And these maturity mandates assure you of that freedom, the freedom to live your life your way, to not delegate your thoughts and your emotional well-being to other people. This, my friends, is a practice. It's an imperfect practice, but I want to invite you to the challenge, not just for your life, but for the people in it that are looking to you to role model, to inspire, to motivate. I know you're here. I know you're doing the work, and I thank you. Until next time, my beautiful friends, sit with yourself, put together some mandates for what that best life living, that higher order living, that conscious self. What are the mandates that require you to show up really being the very best of who it is that you are? You deserve that. The world deserves that. Have an amazing one, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to the Becoming You show with me, your host, Leah Rolling, where I share big ideas to inspire, impact, and influence your life. Tune in every Friday at 11 Central on transformationtalkradio.com for your morning cup of coffee, the hug you never want to end, and that inspirational message that you felt was written just for you. Each show is inspiring you to become you with purpose and intention. For more information or to connect with me, visit www.leahrolling.com.